When you were discarded by your avoidant ex, you were in a ton of pain. Your heart was shattered. You were crushed. And to make it worse, like adding salt in the wound, the avoidant showed little to no empathy while you were in pain. And this is painful. This person was your world. Now they've crushed you, and they don't even seem affected by it. They don't even seem to care. Their face is completely stone cold. There's almost like a dead look in the eyes, like they're looking right through you, like you're not even there. And that's if you're lucky enough to even get the breakup in person. Often, it's a breakup that's done by text, even in a long-term relationship. Or maybe you're ghosted altogether. But that lack of empathy is a very hard pill to swallow. Avoidance, well, they can feel empathy. However, it is very difficult for them to access empathy when they are triggered. Empathy is a core component of emotional availability. The ability to understand and empathize and feel your partner's emotions is a really important part of being emotionally available. Avoidants are not emotionally available. And when they are triggered, they are really only thinking of themselves and their own perceived needs and wants in the moment. They are so hyper-fixated, hyper-focused on themselves that they're not able to empathize with the pain of their partner. This is a person that was emotionally neglected in childhood. They weren't given the love and the nurturing in the way that they needed, and they weren't shown how to process emotions, how to self-reflect, how to cope and handle any kind of stressful situation whatsoever. So they learned to bottle it up. They learned to suppress it, run from problems. Now, as an adult, they learn to do the same thing. They take their feelings and they bury them when they're triggered. They deactivate. They don't allow themselves to access their feelings for their partner when they are deactivated. And this is what occurs when their fears have been triggered. Now, since those feelings are suppressed and their emotions are detached, they're not able to access the empathy in that moment either. That's why they can seem so stone cold. And when even in the past they were so emotionally present with you, at least it seemed that they were. But during the discard, they are just cold, and that's because they've suppressed all of those emotions. They've suppressed and bottled it up, locked it up and threw away the key, and the empathy went along with it. And this can be a very painful experience to be on the receiving end of. But understand, this is a reflection of the avoidant and their emotional unavailability. It's a reflection of their insecurities and their attachment wounds. Now, somebody who's insecure generally has a harder time empathizing. And this is because they're so hyper-fixated on their own perceived wants and needs. The more insecure they are, the more selfish they become. And the more selfish they become, the harder it is to empathize with others. This is a reflection of their unhealed traumas. It is not a reflection of you. It doesn't mean that you didn't mean anything to this person, and it certainly doesn't have any reflection on your self-worth. Now, keep in mind, avoidance, especially dismissive avoidance, they are specifically triggered by healthy relationship behaviors, emotional intimacy. When it's building, they get scared. It triggers their fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, fears of engulfment, which is the fear of losing themselves in a relationship to somebody who's ultimately going to abandon and reject them. These fears are triggered by a good, loving partner. So while they're deactivating and throwing you away as if you never even mattered, it's actually because you did matter. The avoidant felt like they weren't good enough for you, and it was inevitable that you were going to figure that out. So they're deactivating and running away as a way to protect themselves. It's maladaptive because it actually self-sabotages them and hurts their partner too. But it's a self-defense mechanism because they perceive themselves as not good enough for you. So while that lack of empathy can hurt and it feels like you didn't matter, this is actually because you did matter. And this is a reflection of their self-esteem. It's not a reflection of your self-worth. Don't tie your self-worth into their behavior because you wouldn't have done that to them, and you deserve so much better than being discarded.